Today I bring to you something very, very special. I am here with Mr. Ramanuj Mukherjee. And who am I kidding? Most of you people who come to my channel have come through LawSikho itself. But then for the few handful, maybe 5 or 10 people who don't know who this man is, for the uninitiated, this is Ramanuj Mukherjee, the co-founder of LawSikho, India's biggest legal education platform. And I think in a certain sense, we could call it India's biggest legal law university as well, right? most number of students around.
We are not a university, but yeah.
I mean, doing a much better job than most universities any day. So, in my books, LawSikho is the top law college in the country. Much like Vakil Search is the biggest law firm in the country, right? I mean, they have, I think, 2,000, 3,000 lawyers, right?
No, I don't think so.
I think it was something like that. That's what I read, that they had like around 2,000 lawyers in their Chennai office. Yes.
That'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, you probably know better.
I think I read somewhere that they said that we have. Okay, I mean, don't hold me on it. Like, it's just like one of those statistics that I think I might have read maybe like a couple of years ago. Anyways, I wanted to get Ramanuj on board to talk about something interesting that, in fact, on a couple of months ago, he invited me to talk about on LawSikho as well. I'll put the link of the video down there. The topic at that point of time was, how can a lawyer earn more than rupees 2 lakh or more than rupees 2 lakh a month? And Ramanuj invited me as a special guest to talk about some of my experiences and how I got around to making 2 lakhs a month. Yes.
Good money. Yeah.
So, but my experiences are my own experiences. Ramanuj though talks with hundreds of lawyers every single day, and I'm sure you will have, Ramanuj, several stories. Of course, we know a lot of people who destiny changes course maybe after, say, 5 years, 10 years or 15 years down the line. But I'd love to hear from you stories of, especially one of those, bright kids who you knew, or maybe, you talk to them and you know that this is stellar material. And maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years into practice, they did something in an innovative way, or they did something differently from the masses that you see. Because I think you're the best person to talk about it, because of the fact that you're in touch with young lawyers.
I'm glad that you chose this topic, because there is this whole cult of we don't earn anything in the legal profession, and it's like, people proudly say that, oh, I don't earn anything, and and like, oh, the profession is so bad, there is no money in this profession, and all the while, like, there are a lot of people who are earning a lot of money, but they don't say anything, because being rich is not cool, right? Being poor and grieving about it is cool, but being rich is like, I mean, no, it's not at all something to be proud of.
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem though, because somehow we have created this notion that it's very hard to make money in law. It's very hard to make money in law, and it's to the contrary. My own experience is that it's very easy to make money in law. You have to do something. You have to stand out. You have to give your your clients a good service. You have to do something that they'll talk about you to 3 other people. You have to make sure that people know that you exist as a service provider, and what is your USP. If today you ask most of the lawyers, they won't even be able to say that what is your USP. They won't have anything to say. They'll say, oh, I get good orders. I mean, that you really can't say, I mean, as a lawyer, right? Or somebody will say that, oh, I charge very less. That is even worse, right? So what is your USP then? Like, and people don't know, and people haven't thought about it. If you talk to lawyers, you will realize that they don't even spend, people who say, I'm not earning anything. So I say, okay, yesterday, how much time did you spend working on this? That how am I going to get more clients? Okay. Or what can I do? So there's this thing that clients will come to us and give us work. I'll not do anything. Oh, already there are alarm bells ringing in many places in India. People saying, oh, but we cannot solicit. Sure, you cannot solicit, but that is what you cannot do. There are a number of things you can still do. For example, you can educate people. For example, you can go to law colleges and give lecture. Do you realize that even if you go and give a lecture in law colleges and those students really love it, Tomorrow they are going to be lawyers. They can refer you matters, right? And anyway, I mean, there are 100 different things you can do to build your credibility, to help people, to get noticed. I mean, the number of things that can be done is only limited by your imagination. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples, because while even if you theoretically agree with what I'm saying, you'll probably not have a lot of examples. Number one, because those examples, people don't talk about it. Number one. Number two is that you're surrounded by people who are not earning well, and they are blaming the whole world because of it, except for themselves. They have no fault, right? It's everyone else's fault that they are not earning enough, right? And you are immersed in this culture through no fault of yours. You are surrounded by this, and like you're breathing in air, you're breathing in this negativity all the time. And I think that's a huge reason why people don't even figure out how they're going to earn money. I mean, they are just trying to copy what their seniors are doing. So anyway, so coming back to this, I come across people who are earning a lot of money very quickly, very soon. I was one of my students, I won't take his name, but one of my students, he was a few months back, I think when we were speaking around that time, November, right? In month of November, he watched one webinar on LawSiku where I was talking about how you can do US patent and trademark office work sitting in India, okay, and how you can earn money from this. And he was a struggling criminal lawyer, not earning money, but he said, okay, what the hell, let's give this a shot. And he enrolled in a course and he learned how to do US patent and trademark office work. Right now he has clients from all over the world, China, Europe, Middle East, and he charges like $100, $200 to do this work, and there's a lot of work related to e-commerce, trademark violation, cease and desist notices. People's account are suspended on
social
Amazon,
media, all sorts of
Amazon
places,
and all sorts of places, and he knows how to reinstate it, right? What kind of notices to write, what kind of reply to notices to write, even registration, and he's doing it all the time. And he paid his home loan in 5 months. He lives in Noida. He had bought a flat and he was struggling to pay the EMI. And this is how he describes that, I paid my home loan in 5 months. He just paid the old thing down because he was earning enough. Okay. And I mean, this is possible. Only reason you are not doing it is because you haven't thought it is possible. You will find it hard to believe that how can I sit in India and do foreign work, right? There are people, you can go on this platform called Upwork, okay? And go and see, there are so many lawyers from India who are doing paralegal work in the US.
And they're
or drafting contracts around the world and earning 70 lakh, 1 crore. Because in Upwork, how much money you have earned from Upwork, it is by default on. You can switch it off that nobody can see it, but by default it is on. Okay. And my trick of finding Indians is going there and writing Hindi.
Right.
As a selection. When I'm searching for people, and it shows on their, like a lot of people have it on their profile, how much, they can actually, how much they are earning, how much they are earning what matters they have done recently. All of that you can see. Okay. They can make it private, but they don't make it private because they want people who are searching for clients to see that, look, if you have earned $1 million on Upwork, then other people are happy to pay you more money. Okay, other clients, they can see that is a valuable.
I'm going to get on Upwork right now.
Yeah, and you can do foreign work, right? And it works really well because if you want to hire a top lawyer in New York, that guy will charge you $1,000 per hour, okay, or $500 per hour, and that's a lot of money. I mean, now if you can get the same work done by somebody who's a very good lawyer but from India and doing US work, and that person is charging only $100 or maybe $10 per hour. A lot of law here, even if you charge $10 per hour, you can make 2 lakh per month. Okay. And when you are doing that, imagine the incentive for that guy to hire you. Okay. Sure, for everything they'll not hire you. They'll not hire you for a murder trial. But there are enough number of things that for which they will hire you. And this is one option I can say. One of my students earned over 3 lakhs a month by writing articles okay, by writing articles
For which,
for marketing, for law firms, for companies. For now, he writes for even blogs, in international blogs and all of that. But a lot of articles he wrote for lawyers, CAs abroad, for marketing articles, like blog articles, to for their website to attract more traffic, right? He charges currently at least $200 to $300 per article that he writes, and there are cases where he has charged even $1,000 for one long form article. Okay, and this is happening, right? This is all these things are there. Now in India, is it possible within India, if you don't want to do all these things? I think it's really exciting right now that post pandemic, people care less and less about where their lawyer is. Like, people have gotten used to working with, see, if I am hiring a lawyer sitting in Delhi, and I have been anyway, the lawyer doesn't, I never see the lawyer because during pandemic, people are not meeting. And then I start thinking that what if that lawyer, fine, I don't know if he's in Delhi, he might have gone to Indore, to his hometown, for all you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you start working with the lawyer who is in Indore, and then you realize that I don't care where the lawyer is. As long as he can do my work, I'll hire that lawyer.
Yeah.
That means somebody sitting in a small town, not paying the rent in Delhi, not having the expenses that is involved in Delhi, can be charging the same fees as someone charging in Delhi.
Yeah.
Right?
And in fact, I have this associate, one of the top guys that I have, you know him as well. The past 1 year, he's been working from home and saving on at least, I think, 15,000-20,000 on the rent that he would be paying, which he would pay for a very small room in a very, very bad place, just because the rent in the kind of area that I have my office in is very, very expensive. So he's saving on a lot of that money. I believe he's breathing cleaner air as well.
Absolutely.
So it's 100 different things. And he is in contact with all of my clients. He is doing stellar work for all of them. Nobody has ever complained that I've not had 1 minute of FaceTime.
Yeah, absolutely.
In actual presence. If it is required, they do a Zoom call, right? Even with my clients. And there have been a lot of these people who have never seen me as well. And especially, as you mentioned, during the pandemic time and even post-pandemic, many more of them.
Which means you can start hiring lawyers in small towns.
Yeah.
And having to pay a lot less than you'd normally pay a good lawyer in Delhi.
Absolutely, because the rent goes out of the picture. The expensive lifestyle living in Delhi goes out of the picture. And someone who is staying in far off remote parts of the country.
And you can pay them better,
Absolutely.
you can pay them the daily this thing, and it will be much more for them. Like, so your purchasing power of that money is much higher. Even if you pay the same money as you'll pay someone in Delhi, you'll end up remunerating them much more, which is a very satisfying thing.
Right. One more thing I wanted, Ramanuj, because you've talked in other places, I really wanted you to talk here as well about your experiences of, the part-time legal practice that you used to indulge in as a law student, and as well as a very, very young lawyer when you were starting out and you used to take up side gigs as well. Because let me tell you this, there are, of course, pros and cons to the whole NLU, non-NLU thing. I have myself said that you can work harder and get at the same level as NLU kids.
Absolutely.
But one thing I
have written a book on this, that how to do 10x better than NLU students. Yeah.
But let me tell you this. Some of them, not every one of them, but some of them from the NLUs, they do exceptionally well because everything goes right. They are hardworking, they're smart. On top of that, they know who to talk to, where to go and make their contacts.
There's a lot of exposure.
Yes. So I know this one guy graduated from one of the top 3 NLUs around the same time that I did. He told me, and he's a very close friend, so he told me this. He told me that the first year of his practice, he did nothing but work for free out of another lawyer's chamber, kept, marketing himself. And of course, as you have said it on a lot of occasions, it never happens in, a single day or a single week. This is something which takes time to develop. Yet, having said that, this guy was, at it in law school days as well. And once he graduated, he told me in the first year after graduation, as a first generation lawyer, though from a top NLU, and of course having those skills that maybe a lawyer with 10 or 15 or 20 years of experience will have, this guy in the first year made around 25 or 30 lakh rupees as just a solo practitioner without having joined anybody, then plowed that money into a law firm, and he has an exceptionally successful law firm practice right now going on, about with around 7 years of experience under his belt.
Wow.
So I wanted you also to talk about and you've had a very similar kind of experience as well. I just wanted to, and because you're always open about it, I wanted you to quote the figures.
Sure.
About, yeah.
Sure. So it was not a legal practice. I started a legal services company and I ran it for a while, and it was 7 or 8 months. I think 8 months we ran it. Okay. And first month we did 1.5 lakhs of revenue. And in the last month we did 7 lakhs or 8 lakhs of revenue. I don't remember the figure right now exactly, but it's something like 7 or 8 lakhs we did. So it went from 1.5 to this much in a very short period of time. And why did this happen? First of all, we did a lot of innovation in terms of the product, like what we are offering. So instead of what generally lawyers try to do is that, okay, I mean, client has come, let's offer everything. And you also, so we knew that what we are going to do. So we basically priced things in a very innovative manner so that the client sees result and gets more assurance of how it's going to work out. Client is paying us upfront. It's not like, that they are going to pay us later, but there are like breakdown of every step. Okay, for every step that is involved, like we will give them the different pathways and we will educate them so much in the beginning. Even the quote that will go would be in a very, it will explain what are the different possibilities that can happen and what are the next level remedy. Like if this thing gets rejected in the court, then you have to go there. And we'll educate them from the beginning with this.
Right.
And then, so because of that kind of information being given, the clients would feel very, very comfortable. So we'll give them a roadmap before they engage. When we charged for a roadmap, we said that, okay, you pay us a very small sum of money for this roadmap. But once the roadmap is, if you don't believe, you can go and execute it with somebody else.
Right.
Okay, but this is the strategy, this is the roadmap. And we sold that, and then obviously the client, I don't think it ever went to someone else, always came to us saying that, okay, let's execute on this roadmap. And then we did.
But see, this Ramanuj was the story of, you with all your contacts and with all the publicity going on. What I wanted you to kind of actually
I'll tell you, it seems like that, somebody has this many contacts. Like, it doesn't work like that. Okay, you just start a practice, even if you have 100 contacts, then I'm going to give you work. Okay, I'll tell you something I did. Every single day, I had this on my phone that this 1 hour, the alarm rings and I pick up my phone and I start calling people from my past, my classmates, my batchmates from college, people who, I have met somewhere, whatever, I'll call them and just, by the way, you should do this for fun, even not for work, right? Anyone should do this, okay? I should do it 5 people every day. And I will not call them and say, hey, I am doing this, give me work. No. Okay. I will call them and ask them, how are you? What is happening in your life? And get back in touch. So naturally, if you ask them what they are doing, they'll tell what is going on in their life, what is important. And then they'll also ask you what is going on in your life. Then I used to say that, okay, this is something I'm doing. Right? And I am helping people to recover money. Right? So I was running it. Focus was on money recovery. Right? People who have bad loans will recover it. Right? And we are not a law firm. We were money recovery focused organization, right? And we were engaging lawyers to do this. So I will explain my concept. Okay, I had my own, pitch that I'll tell them that this is what I'm doing. 1 out of 3 times, this person will say, oh, you're doing this. Can you also help me? I have not told him that give me work or nothing. I just told this is what I do. And this is why this problem exists. This is how I'm solving it.
Right.
And he'll say, oh, do you think you can help me with this? Or can you help my family member with this? Can you do with my business partner? Whatever. Like, can you? Is there some? Or if it is not a money recovery, and so this sounds really cool. Can you help in that matter? Most of the time we said no, because we had a clear bucket that if things fall into this, we'll do it, because we knew what would be our execution cost, why we will succeed in that matter, why things will work out. Okay. So you will just do that and nothing else. But it worked brilliantly and it scaled so fast that I could not handle it. Okay, the permanent, I fell sick and I couldn't handle the matter. Because I had one company, I had iPreaders already, and this thing growing like crazy, and it's not because people know me, they just gave me work. I'm telling you, it's very simple. On being there where the person have a problem, offering a solution where they know, they don't even believe there's a solution possible. But when you show them that, look, this is how it is possible, and it clicks in their mind, wow, this is how. Okay, but then I have skin in the game also. I'm not telling that person that, okay, now you have like this idea, it's your risk. So make it easier. Have you thought that you can double your monthly income simply by offering people to make opportunity to pay with a credit card? So many people come to a lawyer, sometimes not having money in cash, but they are in an urgent situation. They will even pay with a credit card. Will you allow them to pay with credit card? Can they pay with a credit card? Half the time, that's not the case. Just by having a credit card machine or a solution through which you can accept credit card money, you can do this. Okay, there are like people who are ready to, that person just needs a loan so that he can pay the fee, and it's a very urgent situation. This is customer service, right? If you can figure out how you are going to facilitate this, you can multiply your income. That is one. Second thing is that obviously there are a number of things like, how are you going to get referrals? So if you did a great job, if a tree falls in the forest, nobody knows, right? But it has to be known that the right people has to hear about this and how it is going to happen. You cannot solicit, but your client can always go and refer more people to you, right? And you can incentivize that behavior. Within the boundaries of law, you can incentivize that behavior. Now, if you think like this, then you can rapidly grow. One of my students is a student in my legal practice management class. All he had to do,
which I am a student of as well, by the way. Yeah. I learned some amazing things over there. The Ramanuj took a bunch of those classes. Nipun Bhatia, who I love, took some of those classes, as well as Mr. Abir Roy. For for young lawyers, even law students in perhaps their final years, should definitely consider some the LPM class. It was very, very beneficial for me as well.
Yeah. Because you can be a very good lawyer, but if people don't know that, then you'll not get clients. It's as simple as that. You can, you will get encouraged to think it like that. No, you just keep doing it, keep grinding, and someday people will recognize. If you're okay with that, please do that. Okay, but I don't believe in that. So one of my students had to just streamline, like he was doing too many things, right? Just like any other litigator, doing some real estate, doing some of this, some of that, right? But that's the idea, na? You do many things, then you'll get many work, right? You'll get a lot of work. But that's not the point. Sometimes you have to just focus on one thing. So I told him only one thing. Why don't you focus on only this part of your work? This is something you enjoy doing, yes. This is something that I asked him, what is one thing that your clients are very, very happy about, and it doesn't take too much effort from you also, but your clients get very happy when you do it. And he's like, this one thing. Like, why don't you do it all the time? And don't do anything else. And let's see how you can increase this particular work. Because this is where the sweet spot is. Because people are ready to pay you this much money. You are enjoying it. It's not too much effort from you, and you are trying to do everything.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. The moment he streamlined, he doubled his monthly income in a month just by focusing on one thing. And I'm guaranteeing you, most of you who are saying I'm not earning enough, it is because you are not giving even 1 hour a day to how you're going to earn more, right? The first thing when people come to my class in legal practice management, first thing I teach is, please set an alarm during, like I had, you set a time of the day. There may be that 1 hour you are writing articles, maybe you are educating people, maybe you are like me, calling people from your past and reconnecting with them, whatever, it doesn't matter. 1 hour you are active on social media, putting out the kind of content which will have, but 1 hour a day you have to give. And the moment people start giving that 1 hour, they see stellar results. I think you have also seen.
Same with me as well. And again, every single time I can, because the kind of gratitude I have for this man and for Abhyuday, these were the guys who got me started on videos, right? And so I knew them way back, like about 4 or 5 years. I know, the great people at LawSikho. And Ramanuj and Abhi were the ones who told me, get on video, talk stuff, Well, of course, there's a lot of resistance. There are a lot of you lawyers and law students out there who I keep telling all the time, make videos, but
nobody does, right?
Very few people.
Now you know how I used to feel when I used to tell you.
Yes, precisely. It's so easy. Just do it, for God's sake. Put your expertise,
and
put
this
yourself
is one
out
way.
there.
Even if you don't want to make videos, there are so many other things you can do, right? There are hundreds of things. Something must be, at least just first you just do this one thing, that give yourself 1 hour a day to grow your practice or to grow your whatever. Like somebody you're not getting a job, give 1 hour a day, research, apply, figure out how to be better at getting those jobs or how to do those jobs. Just spend 1 hour a day on growth, not on just everyday stuff. 1 hour on growth. Okay, in my business, I spend half of the time on growth. I don't run my business. There are other people who run my business. I spend almost all my time growing it. Okay, so what I do changes completely in 6 months, and I am able to, every 6 months we almost double our business, right? Like we grow. It just changes everything. In 6 months, everything changes. Like last time you and I spoke, I was very happy that this year I grew 3 times.
Right.
But this year we'll be growing 10x. It's on track. We are on track to grow 10x, and 3x looks too small, right?
Yeah.
Right. So. And that happens because I am working on growth. It's not because I'm very smart. It's simply, if time is a factor, how much you are working on a certain thing matters.
Yeah.
So if you are running your current practice, and so there is a certain state of things, you just do that. Right now, if you keep doing it, then your growth will be only very incremental. Because you are doing what you are doing, and growth will be incremental.
Right.
But if you want to grow like 10x, then you have to do something different. Then you have to spend 6 hours a day on growth. So that is 10x. But most people are not at 10x. You are looking at 2x. If you do 2x, your life will change, right? You can do 2x. You spend 1 hour a day. You can do 2x from that itself. I think that's the starting point. What do you say?
That's exactly what I did as well. Like during the lockdown, I was in complete shambles. And the business coach, the life coach that I know, that you know of, that I have, he said this exact same thing that you said right now, which is that if you have a goal of 2x, you might, it's not even worth, going for. Instead, keep it 10x, and then, you can reach at a far greater level than you could have possibly ever imagined.
No, a lot of people have those goals, but they don't spend the resource and time. So, for example, if you say that, I also read somewhere something this is that if you want to make billions, you have to be willing to lose millions.
Right.
Are you willing to do that? If you are going to earn, let's say 1 lakh rupees per month, okay? Or you want to earn 10 lakh rupees per month, you have to realize that these two things are not the same kind of activity. The kind of dedication, the kind of effort, the kind of machinery you have to build, the kind of systems you have to put in place is altogether different, right? So how much time you spend on growth will change with that. Like it just, so you must have thought, it will be nice to, do 2x or 10x or whatever for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. But you are not putting in the hours or the effort on that.
Right.
The moment you started actually putting the effort on growth and not on just running stuff, right? So what is running? Let's say you need 1 lakh rupees per month to pay your rent and have a normal lifestyle. And you are working on earning that every month. So you're running your stuff because but you have no time for growth. Now, when you say that, okay, I spend this much time earning 1 lakh rupees, but my dream is to earn 10 lakhs. So let me see how can I earn this much money in these 6 hours, and another 6 hours I'll work on growth.
Right.
Then things change in a big way.
Right.
But most people only say that this is my goal. They set goal and stop. They don't spend that resource and hours and money and effort on that. That's the problem.
I think this makes a lot of sense, because if you think about it, what you're talking about is, a little more advanced for most people, especially the lawyers that I know. Because if you ask a lot of lawyers, they will say, my focus is I want to be a good, criminal lawyer. I want to be a good human rights lawyer. They don't think about, that's the biggest thing. And maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years down the line,
and they have been told that if they keep doing what they're doing, one day eventually they'll become.
Yes.
Right? Not successful. They'll become. How will you become if you want to become a really good criminal lawyer, I think you have to argue lots of cases. And if you're arguing lots of cases, you're earning a lot of money.
But that's not necessary though, right? If you're a very good criminal lawyer, but you don't set up yourself for financial success, right? If you don't focus on your goals in terms of finances, that is again an issue which might arise, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you become good? Most people have a problem that they're not having enough clients.
Right. Again, so it's a very, it's a. But I recently spoke with a lawyer who told me that he was very, very big into public interest litigation for almost 10, 15 years. And then after doing all of that, realized that money is very important as well. And now he's focusing on, commercial litigation much more, and he's kind of drifting away from the PIL aspect of things. I think on that aspect, one thing, of course, is, setting those goals and spending time doing that, right? But I think even as a step prior, maybe, and I'd love your thoughts on this as well, you have to kind of decide that you want to be financially, strong.
I think no, you have to decide that you want to be rich, because a lot of people are comfortable
financially
with
strong,
that.
Rich.
Yes. You may have, like, so for example, I'll tell you, okay, I have two uncles, right? One uncle is not financially successful.
Rich dad, poor dad.
And always used to come to my mother for asking money, because my mother has a job, right? She has a government job. So he is in business but didn't succeed. Ask for money. He is a good uncle, okay? I have another uncle who's a billionaire, okay? He self-made, he did business and exported, but he's a bad guy, okay? Because he's rich, right?
Yeah.
And why is he bad? Because he's like, how can you be rich unless you're like someone bad, right? You must have done something wrong, that's why you are rich. And this is there in the air. It's much more, it's not as much in Delhi. Many people may not relate to this story, think I'm saying some crazy story, but in West Bengal it is like this, like middle class, Bengali, from my kind of family.
Socialism for the win.
Yes, somebody is rich must have done something wrong. Okay, and very interesting, I was in Ukraine and I was also asking that, why it is like this. And see, this is, even over there, it's pretty similar. Because in 90s, there was a lot of, it was like Bihar, sort of. Like Bihar, there was Bihar in 90s and Ukraine was very similar. Okay. Because in Bihar, if you had money, you will get kidnapped. Like people, It was like cottage industry. Like people were getting kidnapped. Like people did not send their children to school because on the way back they might get kidnapped. And it was crazy. Okay. And at that time, even there it was like that. If you have any money, somebody will put a gun. If you have set up a business, you're running a nice shop, somebody will put a gun to your head and say that sign over the papers to me.
I think to a great extent that's what happens in India as well, even today, right? So maybe this might not be Bihar,
not as bad, honestly.
But at the end of the day, me being a like a criminal lawyer on a lot of days, when I talk to the cops, when I talk to the justice, even the justice delivery system, when you talk about judges, right? It's a very underlying kind of a mindset that all of them have. You are so rich, you can afford to. Then why not, right?
Yes.
It's a very, it's a where is my cut kind of a thing. You go to a cop, how much are you worth? Okay, you're worth about 1 crore rupees. Why don't you cuff up 10 lakh rupees? Because you are in this situation and you need help. So why not help a brother out? That's the kind of mindset that people have. And I think, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think it's more to do with, socialistic tendencies where the leaders, in the hope of getting people to sign on this kind of a thing, they'll push the socialism aspect a little more and say that these rich people, they became rich at the expense of the poor.
So if you think that being, the rich people are all bad, and most people believe that they're good, unless you're a psychopath, you have a self-image that I'm a good person, right? Almost everyone is like that. Now, if you think for whatever reason, because of socialism, because of people saying this in your environment, when you're a child, your parents projecting this, you might have this belief that being rich, only bad people are rich. You have to do bad stuff to be rich, right? And that will prevent you forever having financial success. Because there's a contrary. You want the money, but you don't think being rich, you can be rich in the right way, right? Now, there's another way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that you get rich by generating value, which is what I got, right? And I have applied it, and mostly I have run a business and I have always reinvested most of my money into the business. I haven't taken much of a salary. For many years, I took subsistence salary from my own business, right? And now my basic needs are met. I am comfortable, right? But most of my money, 90% or more, I am reinvesting always, not trying to extract more and more money for myself, right? But I know that how you make money, and you can make unlimited money in capitalism by generating more and more value for people. How can you generate more value? There are many ways. There is no limitation on that, right? There is a problem. People have problem. You solve the problem. You get money. As simple as that, right? But if you look at it this way, that wealth generation is virtue. It is actually not a sin. You're not, you are, by generating more wealth, you are pulling our country out of poverty. You're creating jobs. If you spend money, you are creating jobs. Okay, you are probably, if you're generating a lot of value, you're having to hire people. So jobs are getting created. People are, you can make your colleagues rich. For a long time, what drove me is that I want to pay people as much as a good law firm pays. Today I pay people as well as a tier 2 law firm. Okay. I should be able to pay my interns also, but for that I have to earn more money, I have to generate more value, I have to create a business model where things are going so well that people are benefiting. And why are people paying me? Because they are benefiting. It's not only about the employees, right? If you cannot run something sustainably, you cannot grow fast unless you truly deliver value to people. And people see this value and no marketing, nothing can save anyone from that. If you're not delivering value, it will not work. So if people are paying you a lot of money, that means you are generating a lot of value. There's no way you can earn a lot of money without that. Okay. Now, if that is happening, then you are basically creating more utility in the whole world, in your own country. And that is how India can grow. You think India can grow by people who are raising slogans and doing hartals? No. That's how India went backwards for a while. Now, India is growing now because India has the highest number of startups. What is a startup? Somebody who has nothing but trying to create $1 billion company, or trying to create at least $1 million company, right? Now, somebody who has nothing and is ready to generate that much value, and somebody to earn $1 million, they have to generate value worth $10 million. Then they will get that 1 million. Otherwise, not otherwise. Now, when you are doing this, and more people start doing this, a country grows like anything. It becomes rich. People don't have any job problems. Nobody has any issues, okay? And this is possible, and this will happen in India, provided we remove the stigma. Even in law, there is all this stigma and there's confusing things that, oh, are you not a lawyer because you want to help people? You want to make money? Oh, shame, right? This is there. You see it staring.
This is one line that I hear so often.
How do you think people are going to pay you money unless you help people? Okay? The people who are not able to charge money, do you think they can help people? People who are not able to earn, do you think they can help you? They don't have the capacity. If they could, see, the best way to help people is help them charge money. Somebody is able to pay. And then you can do charity, by the way. You can say that 10% of my time or 20% of my time, I'll work for free for a just cause. And you can do that. And you can, that's one way of creating more accessibility.
And all the so-called capitalist lawyers, the really high earning lawyers, someone told me very, very recently, Mukul Rohatgi came out of one of those matters where he must have charged 10-15 lakh rupees for an appearance. And then he sees this old lady frantically running about trying to, ask some lawyer about, if he can help her out. Mukul Rohatgi walks up to that lady, picks up her file, takes it out of her hand, says, "What's your case?" She says, this is what has happened. And Mukul Rohatgi takes the file, hands it to his junior, says, "All right, you meet us at my office and we'll take care of your case. Exactly. No money needed. Don't worry about it." Poor woman. This man charges 10-15 lakh rupees per appearance. A cumulative of say maybe 30 to 40 minutes of briefing and then 5 minutes before the court. For that he charges 10 lakh rupees. He handed the matter to his junior, and in all probability, if anything could be done in this lady's matter, will now be done just because at that point of time he chose to do so.
Yes.
Rather than thinking that I have to, do a service, and then that expectation from the bar, from the government, that I must also be taken care of because I am serving society. That kind of an equation, according to me, does not serve.
It hasn't
anybody.
worked. Look where people are today, where the situation is, right? One thing that you will see in USA, lawyers are highly respected. They are very rich, right? There is high level of integrity in lawyers. You expect very high level of integrity for lawyers in the US. Why? Because the bar really focused on people earning money. Here we run a law practice management course. There in USA from 1960, the Bar Council is running law practice management courses, right?
The ABA, the American Bar Association.
Right? They are running law practice management, teaching lawyers how to run their practice well, how to earn more money, how to serve clients better, how to bring better management principles into their practice. They are doing it. In here, like people don't think. They think, no, this is like a noble practice. We don't need any management. What management? We are nobles, right? It's like feudal.
Right.
Even feudal people used to say exactly this, right? Feudal lords will say we are noble people, right? We don't need any rules. There should not be any laws, rules. Management doesn't apply to us, right? Our wish is the command and whatever. But that I think is needed. I think capitalism is really amazing. It's beautiful in the way that I say that capitalism made wealth accessible, right? Before you could be, if you were born rich, you're rich, right? In feudalism, before capitalism happened, just think about it. First thing, that you could never be rich. Even if you discovered a gold mine, a king will take it from you.
Right.
Okay? You have no rights. Unless you are a baron or whatever, or a lord or something, you have no rights. You are a peasant, right? That's it. Now, that changed in capitalism. Capitalism says, oh, you can be a peasant, but you can be the president of the country. You can be owner of a multi-million-dollar company, right? I grew up in a family where we couldn't afford electricity for months, right? My parents, sometimes they would my mother won't eat and feed us. Okay, that was the situation. But that only gave us the drive that we have to succeed, right? And we said, okay, we will not have this problem when you grow up, right? I remember the first time I went to London and I was walking around the street and I couldn't go into places I couldn't even afford, like there are these museums I couldn't afford like 20 pounds to enter. And I had to decide which one museum I'll go to, right? And then I said, okay, next time I come here, I'll not have this problem.
Right.
Right. And then I said, okay, how can I solve this? And then I realized that, oh, I can generate value. People have problems. I go and solve it, I earn money. If I want to get paid more, I have to solve a bigger problem for more people. So how can I find bigger problem? How can I solve it? How can I make that solution reach to a larger people? And I'll earn more and more and more money, right? And exactly once you get that clearly, you remove the stigma from your mind that you're taking money from someone. Why should you take money from someone? If you have taken X rupees from someone, give them 10x more value. And then you won't feel bad, right? If somebody is buying a course from me, my goal is that person, if you have paid me 10,000 rupees, you should get value of at least 1 lakh rupees. Very clearly in the next 3 months. Then you will be not only happy, you will send 10 of your friends to enroll with me. And I'll grow, right? But if that doesn't happen, if I have taken 10,000 rupees from you and you got nothing out of it, then you will go tell everyone never buy this. This is really bad.
And this is something very interesting which I can, relate to a law practice as well. So often, and of course, I'm guessing that this video, most of you who will be watching, you have an aspiration to become a lawyer yourself. Let me tell you this. What Ramanuj says, there is such a prevalent, sentiment in the industry, the entire legal industry. Jo bhi bakra aata hai, pakad lo. And this is literally, these are the words that I use, right? Try to extract as much money as you can from this client, right?
And that is why you suffer. That is why your practice never takes off. Exactly what the problem is, right? Because imagine if you did a great job for this client will definitely talk about you. and we'll come back to you, and we'll refer other people.
And if you do a bad job, he will also go to 10 other people and tell them that this one you never go for as well.
Exactly.
So it's a very, it's a vicious circle if you want it to be, and it can be an amazing ladder to success if you can want it to be.
Exactly.
Ramanuj, this, I had a very different intention for this video, but this turned out to be 10 times better, because this is one conversation that I've always wanted to have. To be honest, social media, all over the internet, it's very, very overwhelming. And of course, how overwhelming it can be. Yet you find the courage in your heart to be able to freely talk about something which is, a very, very unpopular opinion. And I'm sure
that's okay. I have been already cancelled once, and apparently you can do it only once. So I am bulletproof.
Bulletproof now. Yes, I'm still waiting to be cancelled. I would love to see all the comments on the people telling us how we are privileged people who don't know what we're talking about.
Don't worry about it.
But I have nothing but love for you as well. But for those of you who would love to take something out of this, know this. If you think, I think in conclusion, if you think that you cannot make money, that is true. And if you think that you can make a lot of money in this profession, no matter you go into advocacy or transactions, or even if you go globally, as Ramanuj put it, whatever you think, the outcome that will be there. And of course, the fantastic advice that you set yourself goals, you take out time daily, and you allow yourself to believe that you're entitled, or that you have the right as a human being.
You deserve it. You are generating value, and therefore you deserve it. And you know that you are taking less than you're giving.
Yes. Creation of value at the end of the day. Ramanuj, thank you so much for doing this. It was an absolute pleasure, like every single time.
Thank you so much.
If you liked this, I'm gonna put this out. If you like this, do like, comment, subscribe. Go to Law Seekho. I'll put the channel's the description in the description box. I'll put the link. See, I'm so bad at this. I've never done this before.
No problem.
But yeah, and I'll also put a link to the video that I did as well, in which I talked about my own experiences of, increasing my revenue for my perspective as well. Thank you again so much for this.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be doing this again sometime soon.
Yes,
Bye.
looking forward.
Bye.